Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following all the news and rumors on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. I'm Daemon Hatfield, and as always, I am joined by Ryan McCaffrey, host of IGN's Xbox podcast, Podcast Unlocked.
Howdy, Damon.
Hello there. And Jonathon Dornbush, host of IGN's PlayStation podcast, Podcast Beyond.
Beyond. Hey, Damon.
And today we're going to be looking at a little bit further into the lifespan of these consoles and games that are kind of on the distant horizon. They haven't been given a release date yet. We kind of know what the rest of 2022 looks like for now. We've got on PS5, we've got Forspoken and Ghostwire Tokyo coming up this fall. Xbox has some heavy hitters. They're coming up this spring. And Xbox has some heavy hitters this fall with Starfield and Stalker 2. But we're going to look at some games that are coming out even 2023 and maybe even beyond. And this is all inspired by the confirmation finally that the next Grand Theft Auto is in active development. Ryan, let's start with you. I believe you reviewed GTA 5 for us.
I did not. I wish I had, but I would have given it the same 10 that I believe 10. Keza McDonald gave it a 10 for us back in 2013, Damon.
That's how long it's been. Almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. So GTA 6 or whatever the next GTA is in active development. Ryan, what do you think? When do you think this might actually see the light of day? And do you think it will be a next-gen exclusive, meaning people are not going to be able to play this game on their PlayStation 4s or Xbox Ones?
Well, for sure, there's no way it's going to be on PS4 and Xbox One. You can throw that out the window. They've got to move on. They will move on because this is going to come out well into the new generation. But as to exactly when that might be, there's a couple things I can look at here. One, they've officially acknowledged this, but they still haven't officially announced it. There's no trailer. There's no name, official name, whether it's going to be Roman numeral 6 or not. So that already puts it like minimum 2 years out. Like just from what we know of working in games media, Damon, like there's just no way it shows up this year and almost certainly not even next year, which, as you noted, next year would be the 10th anniversary of GTA 5 and officially 10 years between mainline Grand Theft Auto games. But so you can kind of look at that to put it at 2024 at the least, if not 2025. And then the other thing is to know that Rockstar as a studio now is effectively one giant studio with many teams in different cities. Because it used to be, San Diego did Midnight Club, and Max Payne 3, I believe, came out of Vancouver, if I remember correctly, and Rockstar North in Scotland would do Grand Theft Auto. And you had these teams around the world doing various projects, but now that they've aligned under these basically two blockbuster pillars, Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto, it's all one giant collective development team with kind of the main brain trust being that Rockstar North team. And they as a giant worldwide studio group, delivered Red Dead Redemption 2 in fall of 2018. So right there, you can say, okay, well, that means real like sprinting main development on Grand Theft Auto 6 that's now just been acknowledged. That didn't even start until, a couple of years ago after Red Dead 2 shipped. So yeah, we're looking at 2024, I think, at the minimum here, perhaps even 2025. I think if I had to just throw a dart at the wall and guess right now, I'd say they're going to aim for holiday 2024, and then there's a very good chance that they'll delay for polish into spring of 2025, which happened with definitely GTA 4. And it may have even happened with GTA 5 as well. I actually can't even remember, but that's where I am with it, Damon. But I'm excited regardless, even though it's so far away.
Yeah. Well, 2024 would put it 11 years since the original release of GTA 5. Jonathon, do you agree with Ryan's assessment that there's no way the next GTA is going to be playable on PlayStation 4? The reason I ask is just because there's been a longer overlap than ever between these two generations of consoles, mostly because of the pandemic, which caused people to work from home, which was difficult. And then also the chip shortage that's made it difficult for a lot of people to get their hands on these consoles. Horizon Forbidden West, which comes out very soon, is going to be released both on PS5 and PS4. And even God of War Ragnarok, which doesn't even have a release date yet, we know is going to straddle both generations. So you agree? No GTA 6 or whatever it is on PS4?
I think it's coming out next month and it's going to be on every platform. So just to be contrarian, I think Ryan his instinct is probably on the money. I think, to your point, I guess never say never, because we are in such a strange time where this generation is going to be such a strange on-ramp for people, because it will be literal years into the generation before most people can find these systems. So I guess there is a potential that we could see things, but I do think probably by the time GTA 6 comes out, GTA 5 is coming out again, of course, this year. But I think by the time GTA 6 is something that comes out, we most likely will be looking at a current gen of PS5 and Xbox Series development, and then probably looking at whatever the mid-generation bumps, if we get those, might be able to do for it. GTA 5 was announced, I believe, at the end of 2011 and then came out toward the end of 2013. So I think looking at 2024 with, a potential delay to 2025 is a pretty reasonable time frame. And I think also one of the biggest things to remember, in addition to Ryan's great point about, the Red Dead development and that ending and jumping into GTA, is that we're in a very different point for Rockstar, where they really do not need to rush this out in any way, because they have so much money coming in from GTA Online and GTA 5 copies being sold. It's not really a worry for them to rush this game out. And so I think they are going to take their time. I think they're going to wait until it's really, really ready. And I don't see any reason at that point it would come to PS4 and Xbox One, because they probably want it to perform the best, be able to take advantage of load times of the new SSDs, be able to, play with all those new bells and whistles. And they would probably be a bit hamstrung by the older generations at that point, because you're looking at...
Mm-hmm. In a really weird way, GTA 6 is a victim of GTA 5's success.
Oh, 100%.
That's why
sure.
We would have had it by now if GTA Online weren't like a literal money printing factory.
Yeah, I mean, GTA 5 is getting a next gen or current gen release next month. So people are going
making it its third generation, by the way. 360,
right.
360 PS3, Xbox One PS4, and now onto Series and PS5.
Yeah, so I don't think they're in any mood or need to rush GTA 6 out. And so I think Ryan's, rough window of when it could come out, I think is probably a good bet, if not even a little bit later, because they don't need it to. They are doing fine without it. And so I do think it is going to be a case of whenever it's ready, it's ready.
Okay, so GTA 6, most likely a long ways out. It's not the only game that we know of that's already been announced that is, could be a year or two or even more than that until it's going to see release. I believe, Ryan, Microsoft has the honor of the next gen game with the latest date as of right now, and that is Stalker 2, December 8th this year. I think that's the game that has the latest date that we know of right now. But there have been some games that are at this point, supposed to arrive in 2023. Alan Wake 2 is among them. Ryan, am I right in remembering that they said they want to have that out in the summer 2023?
I don't think they gave a window. I believe they just said 2023 on that one. I'd have to go back and double check the trailer, but I don't think anything, to your point about Stalker, even any of the 2023 things have even seasons or windows attached to them other than the year.
Well, there's Alan Wake 2. And then Jonathan, I had almost forgotten about this one, Pragmata from Capcom.
That was just shown at one of the PlayStation reveal showcases in 2020, but I do believe it's been announced as multi-platform. But yeah, that was scheduled, I believe, for 2022 and then got a push to 2023.
And that one we know very little about. Some sort of lunar adventure game that they say is supposed to be really taking advantage of next-gen hardware. Well, there's also Spider-Man 2, Jonathan.
Yeah, that'll be the big one that we have a release here for. Again, as sort of we said with GTA, and I think especially as we continue, the pandemic is not over and hybrid and at-home development is not over. So never say never when release dates or even windows slip. But as of right now, Spider-Man 2 is targeted for 2023. And the way that the Insomniac teams tend to work, I would not be surprised if they hit that year. And yeah, I would expect it probably like fall of 2023 would be my guess if it hits that year. And that's going to be a huge one. Just the reveal trailer alone, I think, is one of the biggest, PlayStation reveal trailers on their YouTube channel in some time. So it's probably going to be a big one.
Well, of course, they also have Wolverine. You think that's even further out? You think that's like a 2024 game?
Yes, for sure. I think the order is going to go Spider-Man 2, and then Wolverine, and maybe another surprise project here or there. At times Insomniac has been working on 4 projects at a time of varying sizes. So I wouldn't be shocked if they, have a PSVR game in development as well. They've done a lot of VR work before and things like that. But I think it's going to be Spider-Man and then Wolverine, 2024, even potentially 2025, depending on how much room and the rest of PlayStation's release calendar. But yeah, that one I think is at the top of the list of a lot of PlayStation players' most anticipated.
Yeah, well, that would have been if Spider-Man 2 comes out in 2023. That would have been 2 years since its last game, Ratchet and Clank, right?
Yeah, that was 2021, and then they're probably not releasing anything major as far as we know this year. But again, who knows with Insomniac? They tend to surprise us. But yeah, it seems like a safe bet.
And I think also another comic book game, Suicide Squad, has been sort of quietly delayed into 2023. I don't think there's been an official confirmation of that, but there was a report from Bloomberg, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Bloomberg reported that it had been delayed, and I believe it was Jason Kilar from Warner Media, one of the executives there. I think the top exec. Forgive me for not knowing his exact title, but I believe he was tweeting about excited for Hogwarts Legacy and Gotham Knights to hit this year, and did not mention Suicide Squad. So
that's right.
2015 was Rocksteady's last game, last major game. They did Batman Arkham VR there, but 20. So yeah, it's going to be, that's a long development cycle. For Suicide Squad.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Well, even looking out a little bit further, games that have been announced, they could be maybe late 2023 or 2024. 2025. Ryan, what about what's going on with Avowed?
It had a great debut for Microsoft back when they needed to show their hand. A lot of the games on our list that we're about to talk about are Xbox games because Microsoft was in that position there in summer of 2020, the E3 window, where they just had to announce a bunch of stuff because fans, the community, were kind of at their wits' end with just the lack of games. And boy, fast forward a year and a half and that's over with now, which is great. But yeah, so a lot of stuff got announced that in just, CG trailer form that we're probably not going to see for a while. Avowed's definitely, that's going to be a big game when it finally comes around. That's like the biggest thing that Obsidian, an extraordinarily talented developer, is working on. And that is, probably 2023 at the earliest at this point. And unless they really come out and shock us, and announce, show it this year and make it this fall. But can't imagine they'll do that with Starfield being penciled in for this fall. So yeah, that game is probably 2023, if not later.
And then I think that we actually got some news, an update today on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Jonathan, is that right? That it's playable in a pre-production state? Well,
so yeah, they were saying that it's currently still in pre-production. There had been a report from, I believe, 2020 where they said they were expecting to show more gameplay in 2021 and that they had sort of an in-development build that allowed for hours of play as they're building it. But it's still being in pre-pro, around 5 years after it was revealed. Insane. This is, again, one of those games where it is going to probably continue to be in development. That is not the only Ubisoft case here, but that's a really, it's in a very strange position because there's obviously a very dedicated core fan base for the original Beyond Good and Evil, but it wasn't, one of Ubisoft's biggest marquee franchises. So I'm curious what their development goals versus what Ubisoft as a company seems to be aiming for, how those are meshing and not, and how that's affecting development are all going, because it seems to just kind of perpetually still be in the works.
Speaking of pre-production, Ryan, do you think The Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production currently?
I have it on film from Todd Howard. Yeah, when I interviewed him, I went out to Bethesda to see him for Skyrim's 10th anniversary last fall. Asked him that very question, and he did confirm with us that, yeah, it is in pre-production. And they, of course, announced it with a cinematic trailer a few years ago. So that's actually the one on this entire list, every game we're talking about today. Elder Scrolls 6 is probably the one that will come out last out of all of them because it's, it's Todd Howard's team. It's one team. If they do indeed ship Starfield at the end of this year, then they'll move from, pre-production into full production onto Elder Scrolls 6 after that. And, you got to figure that's minimum 3 years, minimum, just based on their history and the size and scope of an Elder Scrolls game. So you're looking at holiday 2025 at the earliest for an Elder Scrolls 6, but quite possibly and quite probably, in my opinion, holiday 2026 or Elder Scrolls 6?
It's difficult to even think about that far ahead.
Yeah, you think it's been a long time between Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto 6. The wait between Elder Scrolls 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 is going to make that look like nothing.
Yeah, it's already over 10 years now. EA has, or actually, we know there's a new BioShock in development. EA has several things. There's Dragon Age 4. There's another Mass Effect. And then maybe we should mention a couple other Microsoft properties. Ryan, there's Everwild and Fable.
Yeah, both announced. Only of those two, Everwild has actually kind of shown gameplay, like they've shown sort of a representative trailer. And that was rumored to be kind of being retooled. So, that's rare. That's their next game after Sea of Thieves, which continues to enjoy a lot of sustained success. But and it seems sort of architecturally similar. Like it seems like a kind of a shared co-op experience based on at least the version that they had originally shown off. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that one, we haven't heard from it in a while now. I think maybe this E3 could be a time that we at least hear about it again. Yeah, Fable we just got the one sort of tone piece cinematic trailer. That trailer said that we're Playground and we get Fable and the humor of it and the charm of it, and but still no gameplay there. So we'll see how far away that is, because that is a second team that they've been building. It's not the Forza Horizon team. Yeah, it'll be that one's high on my list. I can't wait to see more of that one.
Well, one that's high on my list is Perfect Dark. It's been over a year since that game was revealed. We've gotten nothing since then. Ryan, do you have any sort of sense of when we might even just see more of what this new Perfect Dark is going to look like?
Well, Perfect Dark, as you know, Damon, was the subject of one of the stranger announcements of 2021 in that via tweet, they announced, oh, by the way, Crystal Dynamics, a very talented development studio, is co-developing this with the initiative. And so, and we really haven't heard a thing about it since then. So, and we theorized, I think, if not on this show, on Unlocked for sure, that Crystal Dynamics was likely being brought in to help just press fast forward on development for this, because the initiative is a small, growing, startup team that's been built from scratch over these last few years. And you bring in Crystal Dynamics, who is a veteran team of very talented professionals, can really hopefully help get Perfect Dark to market a lot sooner than would be the case if the initiative were doing it entirely themselves. But still, that one is, barring a surprise, it's probably not this year. We probably would have seen or heard something concrete about it by now. So that one is likely 2023 onward.
Yeah. There's a few more games I want to mention before we run out of time. Final Fantasy 16 is a PS5 exclusive that we haven't heard from in quite a while. We know that IO Interactive is making a James Bond game, the Hitman developer. Of course, there's Hellblade 2, Ryan. And given how far back that game was announced, and we've seen a lengthy gameplay demo, I'd like to think that one's actually coming sooner than later.
I hope so. And yeah, we did just get a 6-minute Unreal Engine proper gameplay demo. So maybe that could be a 2022 holiday game. We'll see. I hope so.
Yeah. I mentioned EA. EA announced a Skate 4 a while back. Nothing since then. And then EA has a slew of Star Wars games, from a Fallen Order 2 sequel, which, Jonathan, you have a feeling might be coming this year?
I feel like that one would be the closest of the three, if not this year. I think probably early next year to some extent. We saw the reveal of Fallen Order 1 at Star Wars Celebration the year it came out, the full sort of reveal for it. So we've got Celebration coming up again in May. We now know a lot more we know so much more that there are many Star Wars games in development. It will be 3-ish years since the first one came out. That was 2019.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how dates work. So yeah, it would be 3 years. That doesn't feel crazy for the sequel to come out. So I wouldn't be shocked. That's
not even the only Star Wars game, not even the only one from EA. EA also announced they're working on a first-person shooter and a tactics game. Ubisoft has a Star Wars game it's working on. And then, of course, there's Star Wars Eclipse from Quantic Dream. Oh, and then the KOTOR remake from Aspyr.
Yeah.
Finally, Machine Games is working on an Indiana Jones game. And then just recently at the Game Awards, a Wonder Woman game was announced. So there's a lot that's coming, even if it's, even if it's a long way down the line, it's good to know that we're going to have a lot of really big games coming over the next many years. Real quick before we go, we have the results of last episode's poll. We wanted to know, with the Halo TV series on the way, what other games you want to see adapted to TV, and perhaps unsurprisingly, the winning choice was Mass Effect. Obviously, that trilogy has a great story. Lots of races and lots of lore was introduced in that game, so there'd be a lot to explore in a series like that. But way at the bottom of the list was Destiny, which might bother Bungie, because I think they do have their sights set on transferring their properties to the small screen. Poll for you to vote on for next week. When do you think GTA 6 will be released? 2023, 24, 25, 26? Make sure to vote at IGN.com, and we'll share the results with you next episode. And that will do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. I'm Daemon Hatfield. Thank you to both Ryan and Jonathan. Thank you to Alan, working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. We'll be back next week, Friday morning, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, with more PS5 and Xbox Series news. We'll see you then.